World War II, humanity's darkest nightmare. 100 powerful historical photos are about to be revealed. Drop a one if you're ready to watch this video all the way through with me. In November 1918 at Compiègne, France, the armistice ended World War I, but Europe's rivalries endured, quietly shaping the path toward another devastating conflict that erupted across the continent 2 decades later. Europe erupted in flames as Germany stormed Poland from the west. Within only 3 days, London and Paris declared war, marking the undeniable start of World War II in September 1939. Soviet troops marched ruthlessly into Poland, splitting the nation in two with Hitler. Stalin's betrayal became undeniable in September 1939, when Poland effectively vanished from Europe's fragile political map. Berlin became the stage for Hitler's rise, turning the city into a fortress of dictatorship. Germany sealed its fate in January 1933, as the world edged dangerously closer to catastrophic and unprecedented war. Warsaw surrendered after a devastating siege, crushed between Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia. An entire nation collapsed within 27 desperate days, extinguished completely in September 1939. In December 1939, the British claimed victory at the Battle of the River Plate, where their cruisers defeated a German pocket battleship in the first major naval engagement of World War II. Germany invaded Norway, ending the 6-month-long phony war. The sudden assault occurred in April 1940, reshaping Northern Europe and proving Hitler's ambitions could not be contained by diplomacy. Winston Churchill replaced Neville Chamberlain as Britain's Prime Minister, while Germany invaded Belgium, a dramatic turning point in the conflict, all taking place in May 1940. From May to June 1940, British troops trapped at Dunkirk were evacuated in an extraordinary campaign, a miracle of survival that allowed them to continue resisting Nazi Germany. Leave a 1 in the comments if you liked this video, a 0 if we disappointed you. From July to October 1940, Britain fought for survival in the Battle of Britain, where the Royal Air Force repelled German bombers and halted Hitler's planned invasion of the British Isles. Major cities across Britain and Northern Ireland burned under relentless bombing, killing over 40,000 civilians and destroying 1 million homes. This was the Blitz, raging from September 1940 to May 1941. Major cities across Britain and Northern Ireland burned under relentless bombing, killing over 40,000 civilians and destroying 1 million homes. This was the Blitz, raging from September 1940 to May 1941. In February 1941, the Desert Fox Erwin Rommel arrived in North Africa, taking command of the Afrika Korps and beginning a campaign that would torment British forces for years. Hitler unleashed over 3 million troops against the Soviet Union, opening the bloodiest front of the war. Operation Barbarossa began in June 1941, turning the Eastern Front into a theater of unimaginable carnage. In December 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, forcing the United States into war. Only days later, Hitler declared war as well, transforming the conflict into a truly global struggle without retreat. A systematic plan, known as the Final Solution, was approved by Nazi officials in 1942, initiating the mass extermination of Jews across Europe and marking humanity's darkest chapter. Japanese expansion was halted when U.S. forces sank 4 carriers at Midway. It was a decisive turning point in the Pacific, all unfolding in June 1942. In November 1942, the United States launched Operation Torch, landing in French North Africa to aid Britain, striking the Axis and opening a new front in the Mediterranean theater. The North African campaign ended with Axis surrender. This pivotal turning point came in May 1943, clearing the path for Allied forces to strike into Italy and the heart of Europe. In July 1943, the Allies launched Operation Husky, landing in Sicily and beginning the push to drive German forces out of southern Europe while paving the way toward mainland Italy. The campaign climaxed when the Allies secured full control of Sicily. This crucial victory occurred in August 1943, forcing German troops to withdraw and weakening Axis defenses in the Mediterranean. Italy surrendered, ending its role as Hitler's closest Axis ally. This dramatic turning point unfolded in September 1943, shaking the balance of the war across Europe. In November 1943, the major Allied leaders met in Tehran, agreeing to open a Western front in Europe and shaping strategy for the final phase of the war. The siege of Leningrad ended after nearly 900 days, with hundreds of thousands dead. This brutal ordeal concluded in January 1944, marking a monumental Soviet victory against Nazi Germany. In June 1944, the Allies entered Rome, liberating Italy's capital from fascist control, marking the first Axis capital to fall and signaling a decisive shift in the Mediterranean campaign. Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, opened the Western Front. It took place in June 1944, as Allied troops stormed Normandy's beaches against entrenched Nazi forces. Paris erupted in celebration as Allied forces and French resistance entered the city, ending 4 brutal years of occupation, all unfolding in August 1944. In September 1944, Nazi Germany unleashed its new weapon, the V-2 rocket, history's first long-range missile, striking London and Antwerp with terror and destruction. The Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's final offensive on the Western Front, began in December 1944, inflicting heavy Allied losses before the tide ultimately turned. In March 1945, Allied troops crossed the Rhine, breaking through Nazi Germany's last Western defenses and opening the road that led directly into the heart of Hitler's Reich. The battleship USS Arizona was sunk during Pearl Harbor, killing over 1,000 sailors. This tragedy struck in December 1941, shocking America and pushing it into full-scale war. Japanese bombers ignited American warships at Pearl Harbor, A sudden assault that reshaped global conflict, all unfolding in December 1941. In June 1942, at the Battle of Midway, Japan's carrier Akagi burned fiercely after American strikes, marking a decisive turning point in the Pacific War. A tragic morning at Pearl Harbor saw multiple U.S. warships sunk. The devastating shock came in December 1941, propelling America into World War II. In June 1942, the U.S. Navy entered the Battle of Midway at a disadvantage, outnumbered and outgunned, yet turned the tide with daring tactics and unexpected strikes. A dramatic story blending romance and war unfolds around two American soldiers and a nurse. Its central backdrop is Pearl Harbor in December 1941. At 7:55 a.m., Japanese naval and air forces unleashed fire on Pearl Harbor, turning Hawaii into chaos and destruction, all taking place in December 1941. In December 1941, within only 2 hours, Japan destroyed 4 battleships, nearly 190 aircraft, killed over 2,000 U.S. servicemen, and wounded about 1,200 more. A B-17E bomber landed at Hickam Field, a base devastated in manpower and aircraft losses. This haunting scene occurred in December 1941, during Pearl Harbor's destruction. Flying over Germany in late 1944, Lieutenant Vernon R. Richards of the 361st Fighter Group shielded B-17 bombers during the Battle of the Ruhr, cutting through heavy flak clouds. Lancaster bombers took shape at Avro's Woodford plant in 1943, their skeletal frames soon destined for the deadly night skies of the Battle of Berlin later that same year. Picking through shattered bricks, an ARP warden inspected bombed buildings in Holborn, London, a haunting reminder of the Blitz that had scarred the city since 1940. Barely 14, Peter Klippa carried messages under fire during the 1944 Leningrad offensive, embodying the desperate courage of Soviet youth as they helped break the city's 872-day siege. December 1937 saw Japanese troops commit mass executions in Nanjing's killing pits, where prisoners were bayoneted, an atrocity that scarred China long after the Second Sino-Japanese War ended. Once opulent, the marble hall of the German Chancellery lay shattered after relentless shelling as Soviet troops stormed central Berlin in late April 1945, ending the Nazi regime's symbolic heart. In 1944, armored tanks rolled across Europe's beaches, symbols of mechanized power clearing the way for Allied forces during some of the war's most decisive battles. Leave 1 if my video is valuable to you. Leave 0 if you feel bad because of misinformation. The Nazi concentration camp, destroyed by British troops on May 21, 1945, exposed horrifying crimes and left a memory that would never fade. In May 1940, Germany unleashed blitzkrieg through the Ardennes, bypassing the Maginot Line. and France collapsed like sand, barely grasping what had struck. Through Warsaw's shattered streets in 1939, German soldiers marched with pride. Poland had fallen, marking the start of a brutal conquest across Europe. On August 9, 1945, Nagasaki became a massive, unmarked grave as the atomic bomb Fat Man leveled the city, leaving behind a wound that would never fully heal. In the summer of 1945, after victory in Europe, senior U.S. military officials convened in Paris to plan reconstruction, celebrating hard-won peace, yet facing daunting post-war challenges. In 1944 New York, men departed for war, leaving wives behind as America mobilized its strength for Europe, uncertain if love and life at home would ever be restored. Japan in the 1930s accelerated militarization and industrialization, invading Manchuria in 1931 and China in 1937, laying the groundwork for the Pacific War's bloody battles to come. September 1943, Geneva. At Grand Jets, Barbara Borsinger hides fugitives and cares for refugees. She is the example of a silent network of doctors. In 1939, Japanese forces seized the strategic Chusan Islands off China's coast, tightening their grip in the drawn-out Second Sino-Japanese War. In 1945, German soldiers were marched away under guard, once mighty armies dissolving. The Third Reich's irreversible collapse sweeping a war-weary, devastated Europe in 1945, after shattered fronts across the continent. Nagasaki became a mushroom cloud as Fat Man detonated, killing tens of thousands and pushing Japan toward surrender. The long shadow of nuclear terror stretching across history. August 1945. In London, during summer 1944, bombs fell relentlessly, yet the image of a British soldier rescuing Barbara James from rubble captured humanity's courage amid the chaos of war.